Hello, my name's Roger Harrop and I'm an international speaker and business expert. And what I want to share with you today are my golden rules for the use of PowerPoint, that most used and indeed abused of tools. And I guess that's where we start. It's a tool. It's there to supplement what you're saying, not to detract from what you're saying. Whether you're a professional speaker like I am, speaking at conferences or workshops or masterclasses, whether you're in company, talking to employees or shareholders or suppliers, whether you're talking at a local Rotary club, it doesn't make any difference. You want your presentation to be the very best it can be, and PowerPoint can help with that. But equally, it can detract from that, and that, unfortunately, is what I see an awful lot. Just the other day, I was at a conference in France, and there was an excellent speaker, a UK lady, speaking on a subject that was absolutely fascinating. But she kept putting up slides, and on one of them I managed to count something like 150 words on that slide. She read maybe one line of that slide to us. The rest, I'm not sure what we were supposed to do. There was no chance of us reading it because she was speaking. And equally, it wasn't up there for long enough for us to read it. So here's the first golden rule, ladies and gentlemen. Never, ever have more than 16 words on any slide. You should never have anything on a slide that you are going to then read to people. Think about that for a moment. That's pretty insulting. Most of us know how to read. If you do want someone to read what's on the screen, and maybe on occasions you do have more than 16 words where you're showing them a document or something, then you should be totally silent to allow them to read what's on the screen. But the rest of the time they're there to listen to what you're saying, and what you should put on the screen are merely prompts for that. Things that help. So let's say you're going to talk about 3 items and you want people to remember those 3 items. Have some sort of a diagram, have some sort of a shape, because people remember shapes, with just those 3 headings on. No more than the 3 headings, because they'll remember that shape, and then they'll remember what you have talked about in relation to those 3 headings. So that's a big one. The next thing is to use the blank button. The PowerPoint slide should only be on the screen when it is relevant to what you're saying at that moment in time. The rest of the time it should not be there. You should either use a sleeper slide or use the blank button. It's the B on a PC or a Mac, or if you've got a remote with a blank, use the blank. Because you want people to be looking and listening to you, not looking at the slide that's on the screen. So what next? Well, let's just have a little word about transitions and builds. I think the biggest disservice that Microsoft ever did was to invent the random button. Don't ever, please, never, ever, ever use the random button for either transitions or builds, because you never know what's coming next. You're going to have firecrackers at one moment, you're going to have things coming from the left, coming from the right. Your presentation, your PowerPoint is going to detract totally from what you're saying. I would recommend that in most presentations you should only use maybe 1 or 2 transitions. Use transitions that reflect what you're talking about, that reflect you and the way you do things. And the same with builds. Don't use all kinds of different builds so they're coming from all kinds of directions. In fact, those builds really should only be there to enhance what you're saying. So you may want one thing at a time to come up as you're talking about it, and have it come up in a way that it's not detracting. You don't want flashlights and flashbulbs and explosions and all these other things that are available to you. So there we are. Those are my basic golden rules. And here's the last one. If ever anybody who has not been at your presentation asks for a copy of your PowerPoint slides and you give them to them, they should not be able to understand what you've been talking about. If they do, you have put too much information on those slides. And by the way, however many slides you've got, you probably need half of them. I have seen on occasions people who have a slide almost for every sentence they're saying. It's quite unnecessary. I saw someone the other day who was talking about sales and said, you need to get into your customer's shoes. And up on the screen came a picture of a pair of shoes. I think we all know what shoes look like. That does not enhance at all his presentation. So those slides should only be there to enhance what you're saying, not to detract. And they're certainly not there to allow you to be lazy. You need to be able to do your presentation without having all the words on the screen for you to read. So there we are. If there's anything I can do to help, please drop me an email. It's Roger, R-O-G-E-R, @rogerharrop.com. Speak to you again soon.